Howdy folks, I'm Colonel Sanders and you're not. I wanted to talk a little bit more on the issues I have with impersonators that dress like my uncle and call themselves Colonel Harlan Sanders and go around to places pretending to be him or pretending to be a big deal like they're the big celebrity that made Kentucky Fried Chicken. Now, I've made several short videos in the past talking about this and going into some details, but not everybody sees those. And for those who are actually invested in this channel, I know you're going to see this video, so I want to tell you about it. It started about 10 years ago. KFC started changing my uncle in the ads. They literally resurrected him from the dead. That's how their commercial came across with Daryl Hammond. And I saw how that disturbed so many people in my family who knew him. Now, I wanted to say something about it. So I started getting on social media and talking about my family relation and how the family felt about those ads. This led the door to be open for several grown, retirement age men that dress up as Colonel Sanders almost on a daily basis, live and breathe Colonel Sanders, make their livelihoods Colonel Sanders, makes their homes Colonel Sanders, spends their savings on Colonel Sanders artifacts, to contact me. This actually started when I was 15 years old. I was on the internet and I would tell people that I was related to the Colonel because I thought it was a cool fact. And a few of the impersonators then reached out to me through YouTube, reached out to me through Twitter when I had my old Twitter account. But the real weirdness with them didn't start until about 10 years ago when I turned 18 and those ads started coming across the TV. These guys wanted to be the next big deal. They wanted to be the next guy in the commercial playing the Colonel. And they would harass me, and I didn't see it as harassment at the time. I saw it as these people are wanting to talk to me and wanting to be friends, so I'm going to accept that and talk to them. But if you look at one of the AI songs that we made, pointing out and showing the screenshots of how they talk to me throughout the years, it's a little creepy when you look at it. So trigger warning for some folks who may go back and watch that. But the issue is they would get competitive with each other. Now, I became a Kentucky Colonel and I started nominating people for their good works. And a lot of these people that impersonated my uncle would go to these charity events to help raise money for cancer awareness, which struck close to home for me. Because when I was a kid, I had cancer. So I nominated them based on that. I did not know that they would take this nomination to call themselves the Colonel and make their entire life and online presence Colonel Sanders. The first guy that I nominated, and he was commissioned, is now slandering my name online. He is now trying to turn people against me and blacklist my name. I do not know why, other than I have pointed out his behavior and how whenever I see him highlighted as my uncle in local news or at events about my uncle, I make it clear to the people who run the events in honor of him. I let them know that the guy that they're basing the event off's family do not like these guys and we do not approve of them. And they walk around telling people that we endorse them. At least one does. Some of them walk around and say Kentucky Fried Chicken endorses them, or they work with them. The creepy behavior of them constantly trying to get me to come to their house and give them my address and that we'll go to these chicken events together and have a grand old time. The constant bickering back and forth between the impersonators on Facebook of who's better and who has the right to dress like the Colonel and who doesn't. The constant lying and manipulation to get information out of me and keep me as a friend. This all turned me against impersonators of Uncle Harley. Because what I've seen from impersonators of Uncle Harley, it's a disease. They're not doing it to be half the man that he was. They're not doing it to better the community. They don't want to do the things that he did, help out people for the sake of helping them out. They want to do things to get Kentucky Fried Chicken's attention in hopes that they make them the next Colonel Sanders. And people will say, well, what's the difference between you and them? You're impersonating. I'm not impersonating my uncle. This is my bloodline. This is my namesake. This is my title. They may have the Kentucky Colonel title because of me, which is a mistake I made in the past. I regret doing it, but you can't undo a Kentucky Colonel. The only one that has been undone is John Wayne Gacy for obvious reasons. But I'm not impersonating. I'm not using my Colonel title to impersonate. I'm a Sanders in this family. My grandpa, my father, my uncle, my great-grandfather, his brother, and Uncle Harley, the Colonel himself, are all Kentucky Colonels and Sanders in this family. My great-grandfather's brother, Jim Sanders, was the last Sanders to dress like Uncle Harley and actually represent the brand. I'd like to represent them over these impersonators. The commercials were disturbing enough, but they got me inspired to do what I'm doing now. And Kentucky Fried Chicken and I already discussed the commercials like I wanted to 8 years ago when I really started pushing it. Now we have finally sat down as of a couple of years ago and hashed things out. I don't hold it against them, but I do not like those commercials. Maybe the Norm Macdonald ones, because he was just Norm Macdonald. And now Canada has a guy they've been using for a few years. Looks nothing like Uncle Harley, sounds nothing like Uncle Harley, and they're portraying him as an absolute buffoon. And I look at this, it's nothing against the guy personally, that whoever portrays Uncle Harley in Canada, I know you're probably going to see this. It's nothing against you personally. I don't know you. I don't know if you are an impersonator in Canada like all these creepy people in the United States that I have encountered that have just gone way too far with it. Or I don't know how you got the job. I don't know how you did it. But you sound nothing like him. You look nothing like him. You're just putting a goatee that's way too wide, by the way, at the bottom. That's more like what Uncle Harley used to have when he first started. He narrowed it down a little bit more. You act like a fool. You make Uncle Harley look like a fool, especially there in Canada, a place that he loved so much that he lived 4 to 5 months out of the year until his death. A place he loved so much he kept hold of the ownership of the franchises, that he invested in his community there in Canada. And it's just the marketing team and you are disgracing his memory by treating him like an idiot. I just would like to see him respected, and today's generation around the world respect who he was like they did back in the day. Because today's generation, even schools here in America, are teaching kids Colonel Sanders is not a real man. I had a friend in school a few years ago wanted to do a history project on him. And the teacher in his 30s said, he wasn't a real man. You can't do a history project on someone that wasn't real. People are forgetting his story. People are forgetting he was real. People are looking at him as more of a fake character. Now, the average Joe, I don't expect you to care, but this is my family history. It's important to me. I'm proud of it. And I'd like it to be remembered properly rather than forgotten. Uncle Harley created that image. Uncle Harley created the chicken, and the story behind it is really inspiring. And there's a lot of misinformation spread around about him today. And poor impersonations, especially officially endorsed by the brands themselves, does not help anybody. It doesn't help me. It doesn't help Uncle Harley. It doesn't help the customers. Now, some customers love it. That's fine. But because of my experiences with these impersonators, that's why I will never approve or endorse anybody dressing like Uncle Harley, officially or unofficially. Every single person that I have encountered just about is dressing like Uncle Harley for the sake of either becoming famous for it or wanting to make a lot of money off of it. So from a young age, impersonators ruined that for me. I don't like dwelling on it, but these guys get the spotlight, whether it's from the brand itself or from local news in these events. You're going to go to Colonel Fest this year. They have a Colonel lookalike contest every year. The impersonators couldn't be bothered to show their face when the Sanders family was going to be there a couple of years ago, but they have gone every year after that. One of them pretends to be the guest of honor there. There is no guest of honor there. The only time there ever was a guest of honor is when the Colonel's family came and they made it an event that the Colonel's family was coming. A person dressing like the Colonel is not a guest of honor. So you're going to go to the Colonel Fest for 2 days in the coming week. I think it might actually be now. And you're going to come across several impersonators. One of them is going to be pretending to be endorsed by the KFC Museum there in Corbin, be endorsed by the brand itself when he has been spoken to enough times by the brand themselves about misrepresentation. You're going to encounter an impersonator that's saying they are the only impersonator endorsed by the Sanders family. They are not. Anything that they have is inaccurate, invalid. They have been notified, but they choose to ignore that. Just know that the man going around saying he's endorsed by the Sanders family is currently slandering the Sanders family online to keep us out of the spotlight so that he could have the glory of being Colonel Harlan Sanders. So people need to excuse me for being not so happy and tickled pink over people on TV and online dressing like the Colonel and acting like fools to make money as the Colonel for the brand, because that's my uncle's image. That's my family's name. And it's being made fun of pretty much by the brand itself or just by people in general. So I'm not too keen in on the idea of people impersonating my uncle, especially when I know that I could do it a heck of a lot better. If they want me to impersonate him, I can. I don't impersonate him online because I refuse to be like the other impersonators. You have to excuse my dislike of impersonators because when you have been harassed by them for years because you're related to the Colonel, they want photos, they want information, and then you grow up a little bit and they completely lose their crap with you because you're starting to get views for your family history, it doesn't sit well with me. So with one of the impersonators, I nominated them. They were so happy. I was happy for them at the time because they were helping children with disabilities and cancer, which is why I nominated them, not because they dressed like the Colonel. They told me their dream was to be a Kentucky Colonel, brand ambassador to the state of Kentucky, or Goodwill ambassador. And I saw the work that they were doing and it hit close to home. I nominated another look-alike of my uncle because they were doing cancer work as well. And the original guy, and this is the guy who's going to be going around these contests and events saying that he's endorsed by the Sanders family. He lost his crap. He said that he was supposed to be the only look-alike, the only impersonator to be nominated and commissioned a Kentucky Colonel and nominated by a member of the Sanders family. And by nominating somebody else, anybody else, it takes his specialness away. He blocked me for 5 years over that. So you have to forgive me for not liking impersonators. There was a time where I got a little intrigued by impersonators. Like, oh, what's this guy about? He's dressing like my uncle. What's it about? Why does he want to do that? To, oh, not another one of these guys. I see someone dressing like my uncle, being put in the news as being an impersonator of my uncle. My family never liked it. I don't like it now, and I understand why. It's just a bunch of clowns running around pretending to be something that they're not. And again, for the haters, the difference is it's my namesake, it's my blood, my family, and I'm carrying on tradition over these clowns that are trying to steal it for their own. I feel bad for the kids growing up in the family, looking at them and thinking, oh, the guy on the KFC sign is my grandfather or my uncle or whatever. They don't know any better. I can appreciate people wanting to keep Uncle Harley's image alive. I love that. I think more people should wear these ties. I think they're cool. I'm all for that. But people making their lives about impersonating my uncle, I cannot get behind. And these advertisements, because of these people, I cannot get behind them either because they're making a mockery on TV. I can only imagine what they're like in person, dressing like my uncle. When I see somebody posting, I'm going to this hockey game in Canada with the Colonel Sanders himself, it's just idiotic. It's not Colonel Sanders. A lot of people know it's not Colonel Sanders. Some people actually believe it's Colonel Sanders. But it's just a stupid thing to say. He's been dead. The Colonel Sanders is dead. There are 4 Colonel Sanders in the Colonel's family alive today. I'm the only one that can put the in front of their name because I'm online and more known. I'm not in those ads. But I know I could do a heck of a lot better job. Put me in them with the impersonators. We could have some fun with that. But when I'm seeing Uncle Harley's image just being misused and abused in these commercials and these impersonators, and those are being glorified and the family gets jack squat. I mean, I'm not asking for money. I'm asking for some respect on the Colonel's name. It's like, I don't even know how to describe that feeling. A lot of people ask me what it's like being related to the Colonel. It's really cool to know it, But how people treat his image today, there's not a word that I can use to describe how that makes me or anyone else feel. It's other than sickening. But I know I could do a better job representing the Sanders name and my uncle's values and his food. I know 100% I could do a heck of a lot better job. Do I have the marketing team behind me to back it up to push it out? No, I'm doing it all on my own. I have to prove myself to the brand because I don't got white hair. I have to prove myself to them that this would be a good idea. By the time I prove myself to them and I do have white hair, no longer be reaching out to the young generation. They'll be my age, which will be old at the time. Right now, Kentucky Fried Chicken has the chance to bring not only a member of the Sanders family back into the brand for the first time since 1989 when a Sanders represented them. They got a chance to get one in Generation Z. They got a chance to get a modern Colonel Sanders. Doesn't have to impersonate the old guy, but can represent him in the new age, represent the brand and the generation, connect one-on-one, whatever you want to call it. I mean, I could give this pitch all day long, all night long. They got a chance to do it. I'm willing to do it. I put my differences aside with the brand. Yeah, I'm not happy about some of the choices that are being made, but they're not my choices to make. I could disagree or agree with it. I can't change it because I'm not in the brand. But I'm more than happy to represent them if it means putting some respect in representing Colonel Sanders' image and product. They could completely ruin the brand by moving it to Texas. They could completely ruin it by changing the menu, whatever they want to do. I would like to be in place representing the Sanders name and my family and the brand. I'd like to be in that place because at least I'll know that is done right. We always said if they focus more of their money into their food and quality control over hiring expensive actors, a lot of things would be better. I know I could represent this brand and this family better than anyone else can right now. I know I could do it. I'm doing it now through my page. I'm free advertisement for KFC. Why should they hire me? And I got some friends and some other viewers that insist filling out some kind of application for it. But newsflash, there is no application for it. You might know the forms that y'all are talking about to fill out. But if KFC wants a brand ambassador, if they want somebody that looks like Colonel Sanders, they want somebody in the ads, they will go out and seek those people out. Johnny Miller, and now I'm name dropping, one of the impersonators I talked about, was hired by KFC at some point to be a brand ambassador, official brand ambassador. He made his life impersonating Colonel Sanders because he was sitting at a KFC eating some food, and these customers walked up and said, "You look like the guy on the bucket. You look like the Colonel." And he said, "I could run with this." And he made his entire life at that point Colonel Sanders. He had nothing to do with the Colonel at all other than meeting him as a child once. And he just turned his life around into completely immersing himself in items of my uncle, photos of my uncle, trying to weasel his way into every member of the family, any person that knew the Colonel, get stuff from them, whatever it is. He is literally trying to be Colonel Sanders today, the one and only guy that has all the things of his. So's the other guy that's saying my family endorses him. They are arch nemesis. These guys used to be my friends until I started talking about my family history online and people started listening to me instead of going to their pages. Once I started going viral on TikTok, they got mad because I didn't endorse them to represent my family. They wanted to do it, and they did have the courtesy to ask. And I said, no, I don't need you guys doing it. You guys are full of too much drama. You're just as embarrassing as the people on TV. You guys are jokes. You're not Colonel Sanders. You never will be Colonel Sanders. Colonel Sanders wouldn't approve of you doing what you're doing because it's an embarrassment. And if you want to dress like him, dress like him. If you want to represent him, represent him. But do it right. And I said, no, my family don't endorse this anymore. And now people are listening to me. I'll share my own stories. I don't need you to share my stories or my family's. And they got mad at that. I hate focusing on the negative aspects, but it is just so annoying. I especially do not like seeing people that have personally messed with my family being spotlighted as Colonel Sanders. And that's why we don't go to the Colonel Fest. We don't go to the World Chicken Festival. They glorify these people on a pedestal. And it's an embarrassment to have an event that's in honor of your family member, and they're doing everything that that person would have hated. It's embarrassing to see them treat Uncle Harley like he's a toy. Like he's a mascot. He is a mascot, but he was a real living person. I know I could do good with the customers. Yeah. I went into a restaurant, one of the KFC restaurants owned by Valued Food Services over a month ago. They heavily messed up our order. And then heavily messed up further with me with their behavior. I'm not going to be shy about that. I'm not on the director of food quality control. But I'm not going to be shy about that. I'm not going to be shy about it not being done right either. But I have talked with customers. I've talked with a lot of people on the internet. They all love what I'm doing, especially people who used to work for the brand. Everybody agrees that corporate should pull their heads out of their rear, do what's right, give me the job to do it. Like I said, there is no application for this unless they put out an application for auditions to be Colonel Harlan Sanders. They literally go out and seek their brand ambassadors. If there's enough attention around them, which there was at Miller at the time, they will reach out. They'll find a way to reach out and hire you or talk to you about a position being Colonel Sanders. When it comes to the commercials, Kevin Hochman, who was in charge of those ads, he had the resources to go out and contact all these celebrities and ask them, hey, would you want to play Colonel Sanders for this advertisement? So the only thing that I see happening is if I become mega viral, other than TikTok, and not just viral, but be able to retain you all through the content that I make, and I have retained a lot of people so far. Show them that you care about the history. Show them that you will give them your money and buy their food because of the things that I say and do. When they see that, money talks, and that's what will make them go for it. Because right now, I'm not a big famous guy. I'm working my way up there, but I'm just a kid that came out of the woodworks, says I'm related to the Colonel, and hey, I want to represent the brand. What monetary value do I give KFC versus Jack Harlow going on KFC ads? It's a fair assessment. What value do I bring them? I'm not going to bring millions of youngsters to come eat KFC because I sat there and said, ooh, this is good, come try it. No, I have to earn that. I have to build that up. And I know that, and I'm working on that. And whether KFC ever hires me or not, I'm still going to do what I'm doing because it's important to me, and I want people to know the family history over what the ad says, over what this guy says. I want people to know if they go into public, they see an old guy dressing like Colonel Sanders that's acting like they're endorsed by the family or knows all this bull crap stuff and is the real guy or whatever. I want you to know that that's not actually him. Yeah, it'd be fun for the kids and stuff to go get a photo with a guy that looks like Colonel Sanders, but these guys are creepy to me. They disturb me. They rub me the wrong way. They may not for you, but for me they do, and it's because of how they treat my uncle's image. How they feel entitled to it. Anyways, that's why I don't like impersonators. That's why I don't like these ads. They just completely tarnish Uncle Harley and his work. They treat it like it's some joke. He didn't like being famous. He didn't care for the attention. He didn't do it to be famous. He did it for his family. He didn't do it for the money. He did it because he had to do it. It's just being famous was a bonus, and it helped him make millions, put him in a position to help people. He didn't do it for the attention and the fame. He didn't film all of his good works that he did. You heard about it, but he never filmed it. Some of it was filmed by others, but he never just every little thing that he did film it. It was always stories that were told afterwards. He didn't do it for the attention. These people are doing it for the attention. The people on TV are doing it for the money. And I can't help but ponder the question, do they even care, the people doing it for the money, how it makes the family of the guy they're impersonating feel with their portrayal? Because not one of them contacted any member of the Colonel's family. I'm not saying they have to contact me, but not even the grandchildren. I spoke with them. They didn't care for those ads either. They really don't care for these impersonators. That's why you don't hear anything from anybody, because they don't want to deal with it. I don't want to deal with it. I get so worked up over a lot of the stuff. Maybe it's because I'm passionate about it. Maybe it's maybe overreacting. I don't know. A lot of my family, they say let it go, and then I show them. I go, no, look at this guy, and they get mad because they're seeing it, and they don't like what they're seeing. These celebrities mocked his image in a way that will never be unseen, and they did it officially through the brand, official representation. In my opinion, it was misrepresentation. Never consulted with any member of the Colonel's family to see if it was okay. You know, they do a documentary movie on some famous guy that's dead, and they go and they ask the family if it's okay if they do it. The actors will do it. You'll see it in the behind the scenes. The directors will do it. Producers will do it. They go and they get the family's blessings. They can still make it without the family's blessings, but the morally right thing to do is get the family's blessings if you're going to be doing something with a dead relative and either trying to bring him back from the dead by portraying them, or what. Not one member of the Colonel's family was consulted on those ads. We aren't entitled to it, but not one person did it. Not one person thought about it. Because if you really wanted to think about who in the Colonel's family is around today that we could ask, you could find easily at least his grandchildren. And the impersonators that do it as brand ambassadorships or just in hopes that KFC sees what they're doing. I mean, one of them has it on their page that they hope KFC sees what they're doing by getting 1,000 likes on Facebook, and they'll hire him as the official spokesman. They reached out to the family not to ask if it was okay, but to use them. I understand now that I'm older why so much of my family members shrugged them off, and even shrugged me off when they saw me wearing the suit. It's because they encountered those clowns wearing the suit, and they thought I was one of them. So if you're going to impersonate my uncle and you're going to do it in a poor taste, if I see it, expect me not to like it. If any of my family sees it, expect our family not to like it. Don't care if you're offended. Go home, cry about it. Nobody seems to care if the Colonel's family is offended by how the official portrayals and popular portrayals of our uncle is done. If you guys like these Colonel vlogs, let me know. Let me know what you want to hear me talk about. Because I'm going through some of my videos. I don't think I've explained things thoroughly enough. I see a lot of confusion in the comments on. And I'm making long form videos on those topics to make it make more sense. Maybe you find one of my shorts later on and see someone asking a question, you can answer that question for me if you see it before I do. If you do that and you're accurate on it, I'll like and pin your comments. But if you like this stuff, you have a specific topic you want me to talk about, and I know about that topic, I'll make a video on it for you. All right. Ciao.